Episode 4 of the Brian Clough interview. For those that haven't seen the previous ones, these were interviews that were found in my dad's garage, interview with my dad. As what's happening, please put comments. We're really interested in your comments. This is about social history, documenting some great times and the great man. So episode 4, Dad, what happens?
4 is a gem on how you handle the public in two areas, in fact, because he deals with a 12-year-old lad who wants his program signed. He answers him really well, so that's coming up. But the other one, which I still smile about, is a woman who phoned up saying she knew where he lived. Now, it's a big problem on local radio, or on any radio, giving away somebody's address if they don't want it to be. He doesn't want it to be. And I mean, for me, it would be like juggling jelly, but not for Brian.
Have we got time just for 2 more questions for you, Brian?
Yes, John, fine.
Right, Mrs. Claringburns on the line with a domestic question, isn't it? Is that right, Mrs. Claringburn?
Yes, John, it is.
What's the question then?
I would like to ask Brian, if you don't mind me calling him Brian.
Please do, my dear.
Thank you. I would like to ask you why you have named your house at the bottom of...
Well, don't say where the house is, just give us the name.
Oh, yes, well, you've named it Glenfield House. How and why have you come by that name, please?
My house?
Yes.
Dear, I live in Derby. My house is not named anything at all.
Well, you've got that name on the side of the house.
Where?
On the lane.
Where?
I know where you live because I don't live far away.
Where do you live, dear?
I live on Newlam Lane.
Newlam Lane?
No, not Newlam Lane.
No.
Sherwin Road.
Sherwin Road?
Yes.
And you know where I live?
Yes, I do.
Well, I'll tell you what, the next time I see you, I'll have one of those that you drink. Because if you know where I live, I live in Derby, dear. I don't live in Nottingham at all. So you've slightly got it wrong. Thanks very much.
No, I haven't got it wrong. My word, when I have that drink with you, you'll not want to put your hand in your pocket, I'll tell you. My son tells me that he won't take me out because what I like is too expensive.
That's the way it goes. Thanks very much.
Mrs. Claremont, thank you very much indeed. And yes, it's a pretty well-guarded secret, isn't it, Brian?
It is from people like that, yes.
It needs to be, doesn't it?
Well, John, you know, we do get a few problems now and again, and we get people saying where we live and what people wanting to know what we have for breakfast and that type of thing. But the lady's completely wrong there.
Finally, Richard Watson's on the line. I think you're a young lad. What's your age, Richard?
I'm 13.
You're 13?
Yeah.
What's your question to Brian Clough?
I've got a League Cup souvenir programme, but I haven't got any Forest players' autographs.
Oh.
So I'd like to know if I could send the programme to the City Ground and have it autographed by everybody.
Well, darling, you can't send it direct to the ground because if you could, everybody else will, and there was 100,000 printed at Wembley and, you know, 50,000 printed at Manchester.
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult. Do you come to the matches on a Saturday?
Yeah.
Well, we do sign autographs, believe it or believe it not, and we will get round to signing every single autograph anybody wants us to. But you can't just send it to the ground because there would be literally thousands and thousands coming, and it would be a ridiculous situation. You just get somebody who you know that is a season ticket holder at the ground, or, I don't know, some friend, or pop down yourself, and we'll endeavour to get it signed. You've got 6 whole weeks in August and September, young man. Get yourself down then. We're at work. We'll sign it.
Can't be fairer than that, can we, Richard?
Pardon?
Can't be fairer than that.
Well, Richard, where are you going in August and September? Are you going on holiday?
I don't think so.
Good lad. Well, you pop down to the City Ground and we'll sign your programme with pleasure.
Yeah.
There we are. Thank you very much indeed, Brian. It must be a continual problem, isn't it, this people wanting autographs?
It is. It's a nice problem. Obviously, we've been inundated with charities and all sorts of things in the last 2 or 3 months, in fact, all season. But, you know, we've sorted them all out. We've spent hours signing autographs, footballs. We have a week or an hour set aside a week where we literally go into a room and just sign autographs. And to sign your name for an hour is a hell of a long time. And footballers are notoriously lazy people, and they like to train and get away from the ground. it's a slight embarrassment when people ask them for their autographs. But we set aside an hour, we get them all done, we send them all over the world, we do every single charity in Nottingham, to the best of my knowledge. If there's a charity not written to us, I'd love to know its name, you know. And we try our very, very best.
Brian, many thanks for talking to us on Radio Nottingham today.
John, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you for looking after me. Phil's been sitting here alongside of me now for a quarter of an hour, 20 minutes. I now know that when he comes down to see me after a match, and he's a little bit apprehensive, it's through cold, because this must be the coldest spot in Nottingham.
Actually, I can hear Phil laughing in the background. Actually, there's a question I did want to ask you about. You say Phil feeling apprehensive. A lot of people feel apprehensive about meeting you, don't they?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how people feel before they meet me. I like to think that having met me, you know, they think I've got a job to do and I work reasonably hard, and it's the name of the game. We've got to have success on the field, unless, you know, nothing counts at all. We've done the city of Nottingham proud this season, and we hope we'll continue in the next few years.
Well, can I, on behalf of everybody who listens to Radio Nottingham, thank you very much indeed for you and Peter Taylor for all the work you've done this year, and of course to all the players for bringing the two cups to Nottingham. It's wonderful.
Thanks a lot, John. Good luck to you. Bye-bye.
Good luck at the testimonial this afternoon.
Thank you.
3 o'clock kick-off, correct?
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You mentioned something really interesting. I just wonder from your viewpoint, because you know you're the interviewer, and he says that some people are a bit apprehensive about meeting me, or it certainly implies that. And then, so how were you when you were meeting him?
I think we all were a little bit apprehensive because he shoots from the hip, so you never know what he's going to say. And it got even more less predictable as time got on. But yeah, that was the problem with him. He had to respect you. If you asked him questions which he respected, he would respect you. You asked him daft questions, you were in deep trouble. Yeah. He didn't suffer fools.
And he seemed to have a relationship with you, didn't he? He seemed to like. Yeah. He thanked you at the end, but he did seem to have that relationship with you.
Yeah, definitely. And when I interviewed him when my Radio Derby days, you know, when his book came out, that relationship continues. I think Radio Derby must have a good interview I did with him. One of the things I'd like to mention, talked about how he dealt with the public. Yeah. When West Bridgford News, when he was at just before he died, he used to go into West Bridgford News, which is Simon Clough's bookshop, you know, and he'd be sitting in a chair by the side of the counter, and people would just go, "Oh, Brian," and he would treat them fantastically, even sign birthday cards. You want me to sign it as well?
Oh, that's lovely.
No, so that was really human side.
In the interview, he mentions a Phil. Who's the Phil that he's mentioning?
Yeah, Phil. That's right. That was Phil Mepham. Now, Phil Mepham would be the second in command, which is I had been, and his job was to go out and do interviews. We had a sports editor, and then Phil, in this case, Phil Mepham, and he had the measure of Brian, so Brian respected Phil. There's quite a few stories with Phil facing up to me, if you like, not in a nasty way. But Phil then left. When he left us, he went on to be a correspondent for Aston Villa, I think. Yeah.
Okay, right. And you must have lots of Brian Clough stories. I'm trying to get an episode 5 out where you kind of I know that there'll be some in the book, but there'll be the ones that aren't in the book. But some Brian Clough stories, because you met him around about 5 times, didn't you? And but you also covered more than that, yeah. So you covered. You went abroad as well, didn't you, to do the European Cup? Yeah. So it's awkward telling Brian Clough stories because I can't remember which ones are mine and which ones are other people's. I've got plenty of them. And you were saying that, but when you're doing talks, that actually as soon as you kind of mention the word Brian Clough, the room goes quiet.
Yeah, well, often it wakes people up. You look in the front row to talk and they're all asleep. No, not really, but suddenly everybody jerks into motion. Oh, an amazing effect.
Yeah. His legacy kind of lives on, doesn't it? And
it does.
So we've got lots of videos here, also of Sparks, haven't we? Brian Eno, etc. Loads of rich kind of sort of history, all based around Nottingham. So they're there as well. But you've also found another sporting one, haven't you? On that theme of sport.
Yes, I have.
Legend.
Oh, yeah, definitely. This one on this machine now says at the top, you probably can't read it, Tommy Lawton. And that's Tommy choosing his own music. Now, I can't play the music for copyright reasons, but that's the interview with Tommy. That's the next one I'm going to listen to. As you see, the tape is in a lot better condition than the Brian Clough one. When you look at this, look at the state of it. You think the gems that are on there, it looks as though it's just knocking about on the floor, doesn't it?
It was. Right. Well, so there's going to be more gems coming out. We're going to continue this series. I think it's just thank you, Dad, for digging around, and then also kind of doing the and sort of taking the tapes and putting them into a digital format as well, because that takes time. So
not much time. It's good fun.
It's good fun. It is all good fun, and we'll see you in another episode, maybe episode 5 of Brian Clough, but if not, we'll see it hopefully at the Tommy Lawton and the other Fragments of Rock business.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah. Thanks.